Welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. You might notice that we have a couple guests today. First of all, I'm joined by Jan. I'm Mary. We have Dr. Ted Fogarty and Dr. Brad Meyer. And they are going to talk a little bit about the hyperbaric chambers and whatnot. We've already talked about that once this week.
A bit earlier this week.
Oh, yeah, and it's so fascinating, and they all kind of work together. But yesterday, we hope you caught our hometown series in Center. It was amazing because Dr. Fogarty himself has stopped at the Rock. Why don't you first tell us about that?
Yes, so I have practice opportunities and outreaches in both rugby in the past here in North Dakota and also in Hazen at Sakakawea Medical Center. And so I've had the fortunate blessing of also being an adjunct professor of petroleum engineering, as well as being on the College of Medicine faculty. And so one day I was working with Meg Rizzoli, and he's the petroleum engineering department chair, and I said, you know, I think we could probably talk some of the CEOs out here of these smaller hospitals into letting us use their CT scanners for whether we can use medical CT imaging devices to measure the fractures in the fracking cores.
Interesting.
And so Daryl Birch, who I was at Sakakawea Medical Center working up there in a pain management program with one of the surgeons up there, and Daryl, I just approached him and just said, he's like, yeah, you know, I'll give you, you can have 2 hours, you can do whatever you want, do all your CT scans and get her done and get those images out to Grand Forks, and that's what we did. And then on my way home, just to kind of memorialize the whole little scientific project, I stopped at the Scientific Center of North America, which is
Center, North Dakota.
Center.
Isn't that funny? I mean, it's amazing how that story came to be.
Yeah.
Truly.
And, you know, there's that big rock there that marks out exactly where the Scientific Center is. And all my friends and family up in Rugby, I've got some shirt-tail cousins up there. You know, there's just been a debate going on for all these years since the center folks came out with, you know, this is really the center of the continent.
Well, and I think, too, I guess initially they held it on when they first decided Rugby was the center of North America, it was on a piece of cardboard, and they just balanced it on a pin or a pen, and now they have GPS. So I think GPS and the coordinates are a little more accurate, so I think center wins. But we'll go with the scientific, you know, we'll let Rugby keep their title.
Heart of America.
It's a friendly battle we have going on, but it's just such a small world. But welcome to both of you guys. And you are in Bismarck right now. You kind of specialize in radiology?
Yeah, I've kind of got a pretty broad practice arena, but I am on staff at St. Alexius as a radiologist there. And
so, Brad, what brings you to town?
Ted. Well, more than Ted, but Ted is the reason we're involved in starting up a MOPLAT hyperbarics and sports medicine wellness across several states, and so we're just at the beginnings of that, and I thought, well, it's time to come up and see where he lives. This is my first time to North Dakota, so.
Well, you came at the right time. Let's just put it that way. Well, there's a little bit of wind. There's no mosquitoes. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just about right, except for the wind. But you're from the Okoboji, Iowa area, and I just have to do a shout out to Okoboji. I used to live in Sioux Falls, so I have a lot of friends down in that area that have lake cabins and whatnot. So interesting.
Yes.
But we just had Dr. Daphne Denham on earlier this week. And you guys are also in a working relationship with her as well.
Yeah,
and she talked a little bit about concussions. Is there anything you want to talk about as far as the hyperbaric and how it helps with concussions? And I also understand, I'm trying to get it all into one segment here, that you have a portable one that you take to football field. So why don't you kind of tell us what's going on?
Well, and can we show the graphic? Or?
We can. With the football, if you have that handy, we have a graphic right on the end there.
So yeah, the whole story dovetails with Daphne, is that Daphne and I, working through the International Hyperbaric Medical Community, got together in 2016 at the HBOT 2016 conference in New Orleans, and she's just doing this lights out incredible concussion work, and Dr. Harch at LSU, who's my research partner, and I got together with Daphne in Fargo, and we had to get, Gary Tharaldson was there, and we had this little conference on, you know, what's the avant-garde best thing for acutely concussed North Dakota hockey kids. And we were like, well, Dr. Denham's out here in Chicago, and she's just doing this incredible work. You know, if you get a kid into these chambers, and these high-end clinical grade chambers, within 12 hours, it's a 1 hour to 2 hour treatment cycle, and these kids are back in school. They're acing their ACT tests. I mean, Dr. Denham has all these incredible stories of these kids who should not have been, you know, back in school and getting their academic work done again, and, you know, being a professor in medicine and being a teacher all my life. I'm just like, this is what we need right now, you know, and God bless Gary for bringing Daphne out of Chicago to set up her second clinic up here in North Dakota in hockey country.
And
so
that's
how that
why
all
the
kinda
Fighting
got
Sioux
together.
are so good and so much better than any other hockey team, is what I've heard. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I am from Omaha, so, you know, I do have a little bit of a maverick spirit.
Well, that's too bad, but we won't hold it against you.
But for our viewers, can you explain hyperbaric treatments? You know, the
Yeah,
whole
sure.
HBOT
In a
therapy?
nutshell, my grain elevator pitch
Okay.
is that it's just a supercharger system for all of your cells. And so when you're driving your F-150, it's got a supercharger, and you can watch the gauge go up in the pounds per square inch. And you're just forcing more gas molecules into that whole combustion cycle. Well, the human body and all of our cells and our mitochondria, which are energy centers, they pretty much work the same way. If you pack more gas molecules in per unit space, then you start to rev up a supercharging kind of situation with all of the cellular energy. And so by just increasing the energy available through the electrochemical combustion of glucose instead of gasoline with oxygen in our mitochondria, our cells now have all this energy to go out and fix all these mended fences or broken fences with the extra energy from the oxygen on board.
Okay, and I think we have a graphic as well that pertains to how it works, how the HBO therapy works. Can you just explain that, or is that what you just explained in a nutshell?
Well, yeah. So you've got these red blood vessels and these cellular schemas, and basically the oxygen is just diffusing in faster, and you know, from a macroscopic worldview, those kinds of graphics aren't really something easy for most people to understand. But
We have really bright viewers, though. They're very intelligent.
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
I will put that out there.
and a lot of, you know, us in, you know, the Bakken and the ag world, and a lot of people just really do easily comprehend and understand the whole supercharger analogy. It's just when you're packing more gases into your cells, and you're supercharging these things.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, that's great information, but we're going to have to go for now. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the use of glutathione along with the hyperbaric chambers with our system. We'll be right back after this on Ladies of Another View on Back.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
If you don't know what's going on in education in this country, then you don't know what's going to happen in the future of this country. And it's important. I'm Dr. Duke.
And I'm Katie.
Watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 4 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen.
along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity. How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We are joined by Dr. Ted Fogarty and Dr. Brad Meyer. And we're so grateful that you guys are here, that you can talk about these things, because a lot of times people don't, or I shouldn't say people, we all want to know how to heal our body. We all want to know how to take care of it, but sometimes Big Pharma doesn't want that to happen. They would rather put you on a drug, here, take this pill and you'll be fine. But you're not always fine with that. So I understand that glutathione is a pretty good, now I don't understand all of that. That is something your body can make, but there's also supplements for it, right?
Yes.
Brad, maybe you could enlighten me a little bit on that?
Absolutely. So one example is the ProImmune 200 here that Dr. Fogarty's holding up there, that's got the basic building blocks for our cells. And our immunity, in order to fight off all these diseases, COVID, everything, a lot of the times we forget that we have the ability on our own to fight these off. God has given us our bodies and an immune system that has evolved over the years to manage these things, and it's healing these cells with some natural supplements and amino acid that our body can produce, but we also can get it in a supplement form. That it's an amazing thing that most people are not aware of it, because it is not broadcasted across the waves by our hospital corporations, etc., and our pharmaceutical agencies, because it's non-prescription. And so this stuff is life-saving. It absolutely has so many therapeutics and preventative events.
So don't we have them hold that up just so people can see it on the air? What is it called, Vinny?
And this is ProImmune Immune Formulation 200, which I would call this Mucomist 3.0. And Mucomist is a drug that we've been using in medicine for decades. We use it in the ER to recover livers from Tylenol overdoses. We use it in radiology to help our kidneys with the contrast agents that we use as radiologists. And its mainstay of initial use has been in pulmonary medicine, of all things. For children with cystic fibrosis, it helps loosen up their sticky phlegm. And there's a lot of kids that I'm reading, they're not kids anymore. There's 40 and 50-year-old people in Bismarck, North Dakota that I'm reading chest films on, whose lives have really been saved by this amino acid concept in medicine, where you're feeding, the biggest hogs at the trough are
the The white cells.
The immune system is the biggest hog. They're the biggest hogs at the trough for both oxygen and glutathione. And they're supercharged cells that are out there defending our bodies against foreign invaders. And so it's like, you know, we need to give ourselves more oxygen to fight this pandemic. This pandemic is literally, it's a virus that attacks our capillaries, our smallest vessels. And so we just need to flood the body with oxygen. But also, this is kind of like the oil in the oil pan. The glutathione actually helps make the engine cycle run smoother and more efficiently.
So how does our body make glutathione?
Well, so it's pretty simple. And if we could kind of dovetail into Dr. Meyer's clinical practice experience with me, and we've been working together for 4 or 5 months now, and he has this incredible story to tell on how he rescued somebody from the ventilators.
Awesome. Why don't you go ahead and share that story?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was a gal in Northwest Iowa and a realtor in town that she and I had spoke several weeks prior. If she ever does get COVID, you know, there are things we can do, and that I hope I'm there and able to treat her at that time. So unfortunately, she came down with it, and she was progressing in the on the surgical floor towards the ICU, meaning her oxygen requirements were going up. And so typically when this is the case, you're trending in a position, she's had it 7 to 10 days, and it's a slippery slope with COVID-19. So the whole body's inflamed, not oxygenating appropriately, so the body needs to be fed. And a lot of times with the treatments that we are given in the hospitals, we're not feeding our bodies with the right things. And one of those is N-acetylcysteine, which I think the CDC recently has said needs a prescription, and it's been over the counter for years. Well, that is also an amino acid. It's a product that our cells need for energy.
Mucimist. That's just the generic term of mucimist.
So
when it only costs $10 a month for N-acetylcysteine over the counter, and every hospital in this country has N-acetylcysteine mucimist on formulation for our ER docs and our radiologists. And I'm sorry, but like literally when Dr. Fauci actually in 1991 proved to the entire world with our taxpayer funding of the NIH exactly how this all works against viruses. And so when you have increased glutathione levels in your cell, he proved this in an HIV cell biology study, the glutathione stops the one unique RNA viral protein called reverse transcriptase. Reverse transcriptase is what allows all RNA viruses to copy themselves. And the glutathione comes in and just basically is like a shutdown cornerback. Just stops that one enzyme from doing anything. And so when you have high cellular levels of glutathione, viral RNA species that have reverse transcriptase, which includes Zika virus, which Dr. Crum, who is the scientific chef that came up with the formula for all of the glutathione amino acids, and published this in the CDC's backyard that this can stop Zika virus as the Zika virus crisis was emerging. His scientific endeavors and those of 30 years ago from Dr. Fauci should have been employed at the start of this entire pandemic, and all of our doctors and nurses and everybody on the front lines should have been told to start supplementing with either this or just the raw precursor N-acetylcysteine. So this is the 3 amino acids that make glutathione, whereas N-acetylcysteine is just the rate-limiting step of glutathione, which is just the one cysteine molecule. But like I like to say, our cells are the Sistine Chapels of health and wellness when they have enough cysteine. And these chambers, like Dr. Denham's and like what we're going to be putting in Northwest Iowa, those are really like the churches and the Sistine chapels that are really turbocharging all of this cellular wellness and goodness.
So we could go on forever about why Dr. Fauci didn't recommend it, but we only have about 30 seconds left in this segment. But I find this so fascinating that basically, and something or many of us know, that our body can heal itself with the right tools.
We need to play offense instead of defense. And we've played defense with this pandemic. And if we fuel the bodies up, vitamin D early on, early treatment, pro-immune, hyperbarics, that's the boom.
And our local compounding pharmacists and our local pharmacists and our state-based physicians and all these people all need to understand this. And one in particular, Kevin Oberlander, compounding pharmacist with Dakota Pharmacy, he
gets it.
He gets it, and he's carrying this. So if anybody in town wants to get Pro-Immune at Dakota Pharmacy, they can.
All right, and
we'll
share more of that information after this. We're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, we're going to talk more about that as well as the grant that might be available for some of this hyperbaric work here in Bismarck. Right after this on Ladies of Another View on FAC.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Join us May 22nd as we take on the Northern Arizona Wranglers for Senior Scholarship Night. Every student deserves an opportunity. Help us help our students. For more information, visit bismarckbucks.com/scholarship or call 701-595-0771.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car!
But how will we?
The car! Your offer's been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing.
But how will we?
The closing!
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, or as Trent Luce would say, and you're good friends with Trent Luce, by the way, the ladies and a couple of dudes.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted us to change the show.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Gals in the docks.
There you go, gals in the docks. We were talking a little bit about the amino acids before the break, but we all want to know, how did the gal in Okoboji, how did she turn out? The one that was hospitalized.
Absolutely. So, yeah, again, a local realtor, friend of mine that I'm not her primary care doc, my colleague is, but I covered for her on his day off. So it was a beautiful thing. I went upstairs and saw that her oxygen saturations were going down, which is a bad indication. And we talked about some off-label use of things such as the N-acetylcysteine and the ivermectin. And I was multiple times have tried to prescribe the ivermectin on the hospital floor and blocked. And I said, you know, you really need the ivermectin. This is so huge, and because you can use it late into the course, and we could save you from having to go into the ICU. But it didn't get the blessing of the CDC yet, despite great evidence.
Well, neither has the vaccine, right? That's
correct.
not,
Neither, exactly.
But that's
Yep.
okay.
That's okay.
We can inject millions of people with a vaccine that's not approved by the FDA,
Yep.
but we can't give them something that's already known as a safe.
Absolutely, and so I'm like, okay, where do I find the window here? And I gave Dr. Fogarty a phone call, and you know, how do I get this ivermectin? And I can't. And so he brings up the N-acetylcysteine option, the Mucomist, and so we said a few prayers and prayed that it would go through the hospital pharmacy and that it was not going to raise any red flags. We use it all the time. Again, doctors' off-label uses of medication, 20% of the medications that we write for are off-label. And this one, in fact, N-acetylcysteine is like a food derivative. So very, very safe. And he gave me instruction on how a safe way to give it, and through the IV. And 3 days later, she was out of the hospital.
Awesome.
And no ICU. But Monday morning, so that was on a Friday, I wasn't on over the weekend with her. I came into the hospital and into my office to start my clinic day, and I was met with the administrators from the Sioux Falls, and they informed me that I was no longer going to be able to work there because of my stance on prescribing ivermectin and doing the N-acetylcysteine. So.
Wow, so you were let go, fired, kaput, thrown out because you gave something that saved somebody's life.
Yes.
Wow.
Unbelievable. This is America, people. This is what we have to watch out for. And you know, we've been preaching it. We hate to preach, but there are things that are out there that can help anyone with COVID.
Yes.
Matter.
And here you firsthand, you always hear stories, oh, I saw it on Facebook, someone got fired, or this doctor got fired. And it's like, here we have one, living proof, from Iowa, right here in our studio, was fired because he recommended ivermectin and the other one that I can't pronounce.
Yeah, and in addition, they did not want me to talk about that injection. So they said I might confuse the community if I talked about the COVID injection. So it's absolutely incredible. I never would have thought you could see these things on the horizon, but everything in the last year concentrated, and the yoke came down on the physicians' necks. And
so you've been able to channel all of those disappointments, and now you're pairing that information up with the hyperbaric treatment.
So this is God's blessing. You know, I felt relief. I felt horrible for my patients that day, but God's got me on a different path now, and I absolutely, you know, the naturopathic world, I think it's regular old medicine world is what we're talking about here, and it's just applying it as it is, truthfully. And the exciting part is that, yeah, we can use some of our traditional methods, but we should be looking at all of our vitamins, our supplements, the glutathione, the amino acids, because in all intensive purposes, these things aren't going to have the side effects, and they're as effective, if not more effective.
And in defense of the profession of medicine, which I'm an ardent supporter of the Hippocratic Oath, and literally the physicians of America are being told how to practice medicine by hospital administrators. And
they're being told by whom?
And when I'm consulting Brad Meyer in Iowa, and I'm an Iowa radiologist at night, I'm licensed to read films in the state of Iowa at night as a radiologist, which I do from Bismarck in my home at night. And I'm consulting with him on a set of medical orders in the state of Iowa from across state lines in North Dakota, and a South Dakota enterprise ends up firing him for listening to me as a consultant physician. We start to get into a consideration of racketeering.
Sure sounds that way.
And interstate commerce.
So who do you think is pushing it? Where do you think this lies?
Where does the buck stop?
Politically and philosophically, I think that most of our governments at nearly every level, county, state, and federal, have been reverse takeovered from the world of, the sharks in Manhattan. There's been a reverse takeover of our governments at some level through public health. And it's not the surgeons, it's not the radiologists, it's not the pathologists, it's not these, hardworking family practice docs who are doing that. It's the political operatives from within public health who are saying, no, you must follow our CDC guidelines. You must do this way.
Which goes back to government.
And if any farmer was told, you have to plant your corn on this day in the state of Nebraska, and if you miss it, too bad. That's where the government is overreaching into medicine so far and so beyond what any of my father's colleagues in the law and my grandfather's an attorney and any of the attorneys in North Dakota would ever allow the government to say, oh no, you can't do this. But we have a professional class of physicians we're the front lines against this war, and we're being told, no, you can only use these implements and instruments over here. You can't shield your cells like a Humvee underneath with glutathione. You're not allowed to do that.
Instead, you must mask up.
Yeah.
Right. So then a doctor friend of mine had actually told me years ago that he kind of, hinted around about big government involved in medicine. And he gave an example of a big city. They had a lot of low-income people. And so this set of doctors opened up a free clinic, and they took turns going into that free clinic. And so they would treat these people for free. It was pro bono. And they got shut down because the hospital wasn't making any money because there was no more ER services. Well, they didn't have insurance to pay for it. The government, it was all Medicare, Medicaid, that type of stuff. And he had, this is probably 15 years ago, he said the medical industry is much bigger than anybody would ever imagine.
Yeah, it's so much more influential, and especially in the Dakotas when we have, credit services that are all rolled into healthcare systems, and you go on a credit card from maybe Denny Sanford to help pay your bill that you got at this hospital in North Dakota, and it's like there's this giant collusion of the easiest term to use is racketeering, and so our farmers are going into debt through medical services. And then people are chasing after our patients for what we're doing, and then we're being told, oh, but you can't do it this way.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, we got so much more to cover, and we didn't even get to the grant regarding the hyperbaric chambers, but we're going to talk about that next, along with the Eden Carlson story, which is also a great survival story. That's coming up next on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. What happens with national debt? Does anybody even care anymore? Do you think Governor Burgum truly understands the legislative process?
I think he's got a better understanding now than he did 2 years ago.
Why in the world are we having a conversation about being anti-vaccination? Down the road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence.
These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, or as the doctors have recommended, Gals in the Docks on Beck. So we appreciate you guys hanging around and listening to this because I'm just fascinated by all the information that is being shared right here today. So pick up where we left off. We're talking about spirulina. We're talking about hyperbarics. We're talking just, if you can summarize.
I'm setting up the scientific kitchen, the scientific bistro, and like this fall, last minute midnight pitch to Doug Gehring and Department of Agriculture for these leftover grant monies from the CARES Act, and he got me into the discussion of the grant awards, and I went through all this stuff with his team, and I presented a list of searches that I had been doing the last 48 hours right before this meeting, and one of the searches that I did was beetroot and vascular on PubMed, on our taxpayer-funded international national database of science. And there's about 60 papers that came out that show how incredibly helpful beetroot powder is for the vasculature and for athletes, and exercise scientists are studying beetroot for like the last 20 years. And I had done this thinking, okay, how am I going to get into Doug's head? Because we have this huge beetroot, we have this sugar beet industry out on the east side of the state. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of like, it was serendipity from God, but I'm like, oh, what the Fogarty? We've got 60
Pun intended.
great papers here. And I'm like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Albert's product, Dr. Crumb's product, the ProImmune 200. I'm going to spike it with some beetroot, and it'll look nice and pink. And then I was like, well, wait, I should go one step further. And so I've been using spirulina in my family medicine with all of my family for all kinds of just nutritional wellness, because spirulina is a blue-green cyanobacteria. It's like one of the original oxygen-producing species of the planet, and it has packed into every single cell everything you need, from RNA to DNA to digestible proteins to a lot of these sulfur-bearing amino acids, and it's just a phenomenal wellness tool. And so I've had a couple of my former medical students who are radiologists here over the years do research papers on the radioprotective effects of spirulina. So when we send somebody to Mars, they're going to be eating spirulina on the NASA
so
spaceships,
5G?
right? Well, so
Is it gonna help
so
heal?
a spaceship actually is actually a big hyperbaric chamber.
True.
So
That makes sense.
But anyway, so spirulina is God's technology on Earth for this hyperbaric chamber floating through the universe, and so for spirulina, it's the simplest thing for everyone to do if they want to just trust me and go to any health food store in North Dakota or South Dakota or wherever we're being broadcast, and go pick up some spirulina. I prefer the Earthrise brand because it's the oldest grower from California and it has been researched by NASA itself. There's a lot of antiviral pigment compounds in spirulina, and so when I mixed it into the second little taste test for Doug Gehring, it turned the pink powder with the Proimmune and just the beetroots into this really rich purple powder. And I gave him that stuff too, and he was like, I really like both of them, but whatever you want to do is fine by me. So I kind of went in between then and went to more of a maroon color with less spirulina because my wife and my daughter were kind of like, I can kind of taste that pond scum. So,
So then you'll give us the recipe and we can have our viewers make this at home in their own.
Yeah, I mean,
right on
you
their
can
own counter.
literally go to Dakota Pharmacy, buy that, and then mix in some beetroot powder from, off the shelf at, Natural Grocers, and some spirulina off the shelf at Natural Grocers or at Terry's Health Foods, and all these places generally have beetroot powder available and spirulina powder available, and you can just mix it in. But for those people who are just like, I just want something easy, Dr. Fogarty, just go out and get the spirulina capsules, because then you don't taste it.
Okay, and you can get that at
Yeah, the
any
capsule
health store?
forms are right next to the powder forms.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to run out of time, and I don't want to because I understand that there's a success story with Eden Carlson. Do you guys want to touch on that?
Yeah. Do we have the graphic?
Yes, we do.
So.
Well, this was the USA Today story. Eden's mom, Crystal Carlson, says that treatment saved her daughter and could help others suffering from brain injuries. She's getting much better all the time.
Yeah. So this is the incredible thing about kids, and they already have all these genes that are already online for regenerative medicine.
Okay.
And when we're supercharging all those cells and all those genes are even powered forward faster, we can recover kids from these horrible anoxic brain injuries.
And what happened to her initially?
Yeah, we have her brain scanned. So if you want to pop that up and go ahead and continue the story.
Yeah, so I like to call this the janitor case because the janitor can see, anybody can see how much brain tissue is in the image on the right. And that's the gray matter, all that gray stuff in there. And then on the left, this was right after her anoxic brain injury. Her brain shrunk 20%.
She fell in a pool, right?
She fell in a
drowned.
pool, yes. She had a near drowning event. She was resuscitated for 90 minutes. We're not supposed to go past 30 minutes in resuscitation efforts. These EMTs did this heroic thing and saved this. This was the first chain of miracles. They got her to Arkansas Children's Hospital, and then after 90 minutes of not having a heartbeat, they finally got her heartbeat back. And then Arkansas Children's Hospital then put her in a cryotherapy program where they cooled her blood down in the PICU, and then but she was going through multi-organ system failure, and so her brain shrunk and her kidneys were damaged and they were almost shot, and the docs didn't think she was going to make it past 3 days. Well, she did, but she basically was discharged in a persistently vegetative state. And Dr. Harch down at LSU has done this on more than 100 kids in the last 15 years, and he's given us the protocols for how to reverse dementia, and he has he's taken all of these folks who were never supposed to walk and talk again and brought them back through the power of turbocharging our cells with just oxygen. But in kids, you only need air pressure really, and to dovetail right back into North Dakota medicine. In the 1950s, all the North Dakota hospitals had these little baby hyperbaric incubator chambers, and ours is out in the pickup getting ready to go down to Iowa.
Wow.
And I was almost going to bring it in for a prop on your beautiful table here, but I figured it would probably be too much. So yeah, there's a lot of North Dakotans actually who probably don't even know it, but they were put into 2 pounds per square inch, just very mild extra air pressure in this Bluxom airlock is what it was called. It was invented by a Houston pediatrician at St. Joe Hospital in Houston in 1949, Dr. Bluxom. And so there's all these Americans walking around they were saved by they were born blue, and they were put into these little baby chambers and revived at a time before we had NICUs in the Dakotas.
Wow.
And this was all over the country. And the U.S. military in 1952 published a paper on the introduction of the Bluxom airlock, and it was a phenomenal change in practice that they showed. Basically, we were losing, 80 kids a year at this base, and now we're only losing 8 kids a year.
Wow. And so Eden had we have about a minute left. Eden had a really good recovery. How is she doing now?
She's a walking, talking kiddo that's, she goes back and sees the Harches and goes to LSU every now and then for a little bit of additional recovery therapy. She's got a few little issues here and there with her walking, but other than that, it's she's supposed to be costing the Arkansas Medicaid system $150, $200 a year in 24-hour care surveillance that now Dr. Harch saved the state of Arkansas a lot of money in that one kid. And so that's another frustration that I think Dr. Denham and I have had and others in the hyperbaric community, because there's this incredible way of not only saving costs in medicine, but bringing people back to life.
Right. So we popped up your business and how they can reach you. Give them a call at myplathyperbarics.com. But you're going to stick around for one more segment, and we'll just kind of finish up on things. We'll be right back after this on Ladies of Another View on Back.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel, from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to pull them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with 1 truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks!
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after-hours oasis of sanity. How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
So welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We are sitting with Dr. Fogarty and Dr. Meyer, and this is where we leave you with our lighter side. Well, I had this awesome video about horses helping people get well in the hospital, but my story's been trumped by a seahorse story that they want to share about hyperbaric treatments as well. So take it away, Dr. Fogarty.
Yeah, so College World Series of sorts of hyperbarics, but the University of Florida Veterinary College took a seahorse that had some sort of mysterious neurological illness in the midst of the pandemic, and it was from somebody in the community in Gainesville, brought their sick seahorse in, and they took the aquarium and put it inside of a hyperbaric chamber meant for animals and pressurized that little seahorse and got him or her back to health and wellness. And so it's one of these conundrums. It's like, well, if we're doing this on seahorses in the middle of a pandemic, why aren't we doing it on humans? But Dr. Denham has also been working with Dr. Link here in Bismarck. She's a naturopathic physician, Dr. Leslie Link. And the grant that I wrote up with her for, that Doug Gehring signed off on, half of that went to these 2 wheelchair accessible soft chambers, which Dr. Meyer can tell us a little bit more about those devices.
They arrived today, I'm told. So
awesome.
Back at my home. So I've been finding these tremendous stories just 5 treatments in. And the other, besides the handicap version, they're called the blue hot dog, and it's you lay down in it, and so one of my gals, patient of mine for the last 3 years, has battled diabetic neuropathy for 10 years. So feet are numb, painful at night, very sensitive, and a lot of times we're just left with a Lyrica, a gabapentin, which have side effects, and they help some but not all the way. 5 treatments with the hyperbarics, just with no oxygen other than room air, and it's gone.
Wow.
And she was flabbergasted.
So
and
10 years she suffered from that.
Absolutely.
And it was cured in 5 treatments.
Right. Wow. So I welcome those handicap hyperbarics specifically, for the ease of access and people like her that have trouble walking. So those are.
So why is the medical community kind of like shutting them down, like not wanting, sorry, I'm at a loss for words because I'm so mad right now. But why are they at a loss, or why are they shutting this type of treatment down when it is helping so many people? I can answer it myself.
Well, yeah.
I know. I think
money,
everybody
money,
can
money,
answer.
money,
I think
money,
everybody
money.
can answer that, and I want to go to a lighter side.
Okay. That doesn't look light.
This is our sports medicine clinic butterfly ultrasound, and you can use an iPhone nowadays, and actually you can do ultrasounds on carotids. And I read the poem of your front desk gal Amanda here before we came in.
So you're a palm reader?
I am a palm reader.
I love it.
By the use of physics.
Okay, a different kind of palm reader.
Exactly. And so, everything's let's look at the lighter side of the pandemic. There's a lot more people who are understanding a lot more things about medicine, health, and wellness, and that's all good stuff in the end. Yes. And there's also a lot more accessibility now. Dr. Link has new accessibility with her hyperbaric chambers here in town. Dr. Denham has been getting a lot of people into Fargo and healing through all of this. And then, Dr. Meyer is going to be bringing in a whole lot of healing into Northwest Iowa, and we're doing telemedicine now better than we ever would have had it not been the pandemic. And so there's a lot of people who are getting better and better at understanding. I can call my doctor, I can have a telemedicine visit, and we can drop ship soft chambers into people's homes and do this home wellness protocol and program with a lot of these things that are just been sitting on the periphery of the establishment medicine are ready to go into the kind of the in-home world.
So what are we doing with our, you just read her palm basically to see if she had any fractures. It just kind of showed up. But you also had a photo of a baby on there earlier.
Yes.
You showed us on the break.
I do kind of consider myself an innovator and pioneer of sorts. And our lake house, and you can't really, can you see this? There's a little 11-week-old baby inside of this image that's kind of like this, doing a little boxing, duking it out. And that was an image that I had the privilege of capturing that image on a beach in western Nebraska.
Wow. I didn't know Nebraska had beaches, but that's for another show.
Kind of cowboy medicine, but you know, you can use these handheld ultrasound iPhone devices. They're coming down to as much as a cell phone, $2,000, and we're able to get out into the rural crowd and use these things. And I actually used this in Rugby at Heart of America Hospital in a number of pain management cases because one of our great techs up there had North Dakota National Guard service in Europe for 3 weeks, and he was our ultrasound tech.
Wow.
So we ended up having to use this.
Oh, that's great. And here are your contact information again. And I just wanted to quickly say that, Jan, your husband had shingles, and he was also, can I say cured with hyperbaric?
Well, healed.
Healed.
We won't use that C word. The medical industry
Healed
doesn't care
with
for
the hyperbaric chambers, and that's with Dr. Steve Nagel, and he's been on our show many times. I just want to thank both of you for being here. It was so
great information,
eye-opening, and so much information.
No, I'd have to go take another course still, but yeah, it gets us where we're going.
Yes, and thanks again. And if you ever want to come back, we would love to have both of you on again.
Okay.
So
see you next
thank you for joining us, and see you next time on Ladies of Another View on Back. Be well, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Just like you, I had problems sleeping. I tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. 15 years ago, I invented MyPillow. It took me 2 years to develop because I wanted to have everything you would ever want in a pillow. I made sure that you could adjust my patented fill so you could have the exact support you need as an individual regardless of your sleep position. I also wanted a pillow that would last, so I made MyPillow machine washable and dryable. I back MyPillow with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Not only that, I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota.
I really like the fact that it was made in the USA. I think that USA products are a better quality product. I've tried a lot of other pillows and nothing's worked like MyPillow.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
I used to think that sheets were just sheets. I got the Giza Dream sheets. They are the most comfortable sheets I've ever had.
The Go Anywhere pillow is so easy to just roll up and take anywhere I want to go.
The Go Anywhere pillow is really comfortable, so that's what I really like. It's nice and supportive, and it's nice and small.
The MyPillow topper, for the first time, has enabled me to have a cool night's sleep. I'm able to go to bed and just get rest.
That's 3 inches of wonderful that's in the MyPillow mattress topper. It's just like a firm cloud.
MyPillow helps me get a good night's sleep so I can do my job in the morning.
Go to MyPillow.com to get deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but so much more. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide